Welcome back to another video episode of Umami Manga. I'm James, and this is Petter.
Hey there.
And for today's episode, we're going to talk about, again, umami anime. And this time we're going to give our hot takes on anime. You know, a lot of the times we're really building up some of the shows and manga that we've read. And yeah, we've given our hot takes here and there, and hot takes can really be good or bad. But this time we want to talk about maybe some anime that others enjoy that perhaps we don't. Or maybe some other anime that people don't enjoy that we do. I mean, we'll see. It's kind of a mix-up of different hot takes. To start off, we're going to do a very spicy take about an anime that is incredibly popular. If you're a member of our Discord server, you already know probably what this is. Demon Slayer is kind of mid. It's not that great. Yeah, we don't have a huge love for Demon Slayer.
We don't. Yeah, and since we decided to do this topic, we both initially knew, like right away we knew that this is one that we would both feel this way about. That was a hot take for the both of us in the sense that we both don't really like this one. Overall, like surely there are some good qualities in there, but overall,
absolutely,
we both kind of find it overhyped and it's not all that. I will say real quick, I thought like when I started watching that as it aired, the first season, I was into it for like the first 2 or 3 episodes maybe. I kind of enjoyed like the beginning, but I soon kind of realized that, or at least in my experience of the show, the characters just aren't that interesting, and neither is the story to me. I love the visuals, of course, the art and like the animation, that it's beautiful, and so is the music, but those aren't exactly the things that kind of make or break a show for me. It's the story and the characters that is kind of the main priority in a story, in my opinion, and I don't think Demon Slayer delivers on either of those things. One thing that I kind of also really dislike is the only kind of main characters that actually have any kind of agency are male characters. Meanwhile, the only female character that's somewhat relevant is just shoved into a box most of the time, which I don't know if I would call it sexist, but I don't know. I don't like that personally.
I can see what you're saying, for sure. That's not really a point that got me to dislike Demon Slayer. For me, it was what you said earlier about the story kind of being a bit lacking, a little basic. They really go over the top with some of their fights. I mean, it's really cool, and the animation's incredible. I mean, kudos to Ufotable for just being an amazing 2D, 3D combination of glorious animation. It's just so amazing.
For sure.
And Demon Slayer is just peak in that aspect. However, some of the moments are just a little too over the top, and it feels like the characters should have died with some of the injuries they sustain, and yet, you know, two episodes later, they're totally fine, and we just do the same repeat over and over again. Yeah, I guess that's just shonen for you, but it does get a little too much for me, especially in the latest season. I felt it was just way too much, and some characters should have died from their injuries. Like, it's literally impossible. Even in their world, it feels like. But anyway, the other thing that really bothers me about Demon Slayer are the characters. Like, there's not a lot of interesting development. And Zenitsu, I just cannot stand. I think he's one of the most annoying characters ever written. He has his moments that are funny. Like, even I'll get a chuckle out of me. But for the most part, I'm just like, shut up! I don't want to hear you anymore. Please, end my suffering. Just his screams are so bad, you know. Yeah. For all that being said, I do think there are some valid reasons why people really enjoy it. The animation's incredible, the music can be really good. The story just does not live up to the hype, in my opinion.
Sadly, it does not. For us, at least.
At least for us. If you love Demon Slayer, and that is your favorite, and you think it's the best thing ever made, go on ahead. But I will not be joining you. I don't think Petter will either.
No, not today. We don't want to upset anybody, but we realize that that possibility does exist by making a video like this. So it's going to be interesting to see how this video fares, I guess.
In a way, it's kind of like a roast session, so you're going to make someone upset.
Absolutely. Especially with our upcoming 3, or at least my upcoming 3 ones I'm going to share are very beloved.
Oh, I'm very excited. But we'll go ahead and start with my first one.
Yes.
Besides Demon Slayer, and that is Akatsuki no Yona, or Yona of the Dawn. This is a shoujo kind of battle anime about a girl who is the princess of a country, and a series of events kind of forces her out of the palace, and she's trying to get revenge, and then involves a childhood friend, and then he's a love interest potentially, although she's oblivious to it. Bruh. Then she just gains other people, and it becomes a reverse harem in a way. Harems are not my cup of tea in general, and I guess reverse harems falls into that as well. But that's not the issue with this show. This show has terrible pacing. It really just doesn't have the kind of character development that I would expect from a show that has, I think, is it 25 episodes or is it 50 episodes? It's quite a bit for only really one go of the series. It was really hard for me to watch all the episodes. I had to force myself because it's so slowly placed, so repetitive, and really the only character who grows is Yona herself, which she starts to become more of an independent, more skilled fighter, more developed person. I like that about her, but it takes so long to get to that point, and she's really the only one that happens to. And along the way, they gain allies, but allies that are just kind of almost thrown away after the little arc is over. Oh. That's my hot take, is that Yona of the Dawn is overrated. Sorry.
I don't really know anything about this one other than what you just told me, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting.
People really love the anime, so I had some high hopes going into it and was really disappointed.
It's a shame when that happens. I love music anime. I love stories in general that are about musicians and their lives and them doing music in various ways. I love those types of stories, and within the anime medium, it's no exception that I tend to like those stories. Like some of my favorite ones are, as I talked about in a previous video, Kids on the Slope. But I also love Beck, K-On! Are some other examples of music anime that I think are absolutely brilliant. However, my next one, I went into with very high expectations, which may have been a mistake on my end, but just because it's such a popular one, Your Lie in April. I think it's got at least like 8.5 or so, like an average on my anime list. Not for my anime list. I think it's at a 2 on there.
Oh my gosh!
Actually, this is true.
A 2?
This is true for all 3 of my picks here.
Oh my word!
However, yeah, Your Lie in April, to me, just did not deliver really at all. Like, sure, it looks nice. Like, I can't complain about the visuals, really. And the animation is good. Like, I will say, like, when they're playing their instruments, yeah, it looks good. But again, as it was with Demon Slayer, what I find is the most important is the characters and the story. And that did not touch me as it should have, like it was trying to.
Interesting.
Because it is a very emotional ride, or it's supposed to be a very emotional story, without going into depth here. But I just felt like all of the emotions that the main characters were feeling throughout the story, to me, just felt incredibly fake, kind of. And I know this sounds harsh, probably. I couldn't relate to these emotions and kind of struggles that they were going through. And maybe that's just kind of me being weird, I don't know. To me, it just felt fake and kind of made up in a way that it is trying to be realistic, or at least I get the feeling that it's trying to be a realistic story. I mean, it's set in a realistic setting, there's no weird things going on, except these weird feelings in the characters, or at least that's the way I read it.
It's called hormones.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, I'm just struggling with that. That really is the main issue with it, is the emotions that, in my opinion, feel fake.
You know, Your Lie in April is one that I have been meaning to see, but I will say, people tell me, or at least online at least, it's one that gets them to cry every time they watch it. So I am just shocked that you feel like it's kind of fake. It makes me really curious to see it. So now after talking to you, I have to put it higher on my list so I can form an opinion as well.
Yeah, because as you say, it's true. A lot of people absolutely love this for the emotions specifically, whereas for me, it's the emotions that kind of break the whole thing.
For my next hot take, this is kind of a mixture between praising an anime and then putting one down in a way. I love Trigun. It is one of my favorite anime, and I feel the world and the characterizations that it has in it is just so charming and fascinating to watch. While it is kind of an episodic journey, I feel like in terms of an anime adaptation, it is really unique and incredibly well done. So I was really pleased with Trigun. I think it's ranked fairly high, but then I saw Cowboy Bebop was higher. Look, don't get me wrong, Cowboy Bebop is great, or maybe I'll just say good, because I think it's highly overrated. in what it really brings to the table. Yes, people love Spike. They love the characters in Cowboy Bebop a lot. And the world is really another one of those fascinating ones. And the animation, it can be really incredible. However, I don't think that's enough to carry the show. The overarching story is very lacking. It doesn't really get good until a couple last episodes where Spike's story really starts to pay off, really understand who he is as a character. Whereas in Trigun, you slowly over time get to see who Vasquez de Zampido is. You know, you see the chaotic nature, but also his good heart and everything. It's just so well done over the time. And I know it's not incredibly accurate to the manga, but I think the anime does a fantastic job and really blows Cowboy Bebop out of the water. If Cowboy Bebop is an 8, Trigun is a 10.
Wow.
So I probably put Trigun lower. I'd probably put Cowboy Bebop at a 6 or 7. Needless to say, Trigun is the better space cowboy anime. That's my hot take.
I can't remember if you and I have talked about this before, but I wholeheartedly agree with this take. And it's something that I know I've talked to at least some people about this exact thing, pretty much. Yeah, Trigun deserves more love than it does, especially compared to Cowboy Bebop, which I didn't really see the appeal of. I mean, the music is amazing in Cowboy Bebop, but...
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, but I agree, like, the focus on Spike's character is so underdone in the Cowboy Bebop anime. Like, it should have been, he should have gotten way more focus, like his backstory and the characters that are tied to it. Instead, they spend most of the episodes on just side stuff, which I guess, I mean, evidently people enjoy it, but I personally didn't that much.
It's certainly not terrible, and I enjoyed myself while I was watching it, but I didn't get the same kind of mind blown or this is one of the greatest anime ever that seems a lot of other people did. But with Trigun, that's the kind of feeling I got.
My second one is one that I might get even more flack for than Your Lie in April, Violet Evergarden.
Oh, okay.
This anime, I watched around the same time, actually, as Your Lie in April. I disliked it for a very similar reason as Your Lie in April. I think Violet Evergarden also does, like, melodrama to maybe a bit of a too large extent. And that one also kind of failed at kind of understanding and comprehending the emotions, which I wanted to feel what everyone else feels, you know?
I want to feel it.
Because that's the thing, I'm a pretty sensitive guy. I can cry very easily to fiction in general. With the case of these two shows, I just couldn't buy the emotions. It felt fake, all of these very melodramatic emotions. Another thing, though this I guess is maybe applicable to a lot of anime, but all of the characters, yeah, the art is beautiful in Violet Evergarden. However, all of the faces are the same. They all look the same. They're all equally beautiful, but it's the same exact face, or at least it looks like that to me. And I know this is very beloved anime. I was kind of suffering through it though, sadly.
I've only seen a couple episodes, but I will say I did like the couple episodes I saw and was willing to watch more. I am a little surprised that you didn't enjoy it. It makes me wonder if you were just having a bad day or a bad week or a month or something when you were watching both of these anime back to back. So I don't know.
Maybe. That would be really interesting if that's the case. If I would rewatch both of those now, kind of in more, like several years after the fact, if I would end up loving them, I would.
Maybe your cold heart has melted.
Yeah, exactly. My heart grew 3 sizes or something like that.
Oh.
And you know, it would be awesome if that would happen. But as things stand, I can't stand those two shows.
For my last hot take, you're gonna have to work with me on this one. So Dragon Ball. I loved Dragon Ball Z growing up, and I even went back and watched Dragon Ball, the original series. However, there was a moment where Dragon Ball Z, and just the Dragon Ball series in general, ended. I think it was like 1995, the manga ended, then 1996 is when the anime officially ended. And Toriyama's like, okay, we've run our course here, it's time to pack up and move on to brighter pastures. I think a lot of us fans were not willing to let the series die. Neither was Toei Animation. They were like, heck no, we're not gonna let this cash cow die. So they went on to Dragon Ball GT, this non-canon, really fan servicey. I mean, it had some really cool moments, don't get me wrong, and it gave us Super Saiyan 4, which is just, I think is an awesome design, but it wasn't canon. And so eventually, when they brought Dragon Ball back, they canceled out GT, said that never existed. Dragon Ball now lives and is still going today with Dragon Ball Super. However, my hot take is that Dragon Ball should have stayed dead. It should have not come
Oh.
back. At least in full circulation. I don't think the quality is there with Dragon Ball Super. Now, it has some moments, and Ultra Instinct is really cool. There have been some interesting characters. I like Beerus and the god aspect. But there is a point where the whole power level mechanic is just gotten ridiculous to where characters really can't keep up. They have, in the most recent movie, given characters a very strong boost in power to match, Goku and Vegeta, at least supposedly. But when does it stop? When does it end? I guess it does until the money stops. Some good things need to come to an end. Aside from a couple moments in Dragon Ball Super, we are back to the well has kind of dried up, in my opinion. What they should have done is just stuck with movies. Have these great big movie events, where you expand upon the lore that way. And I still think one of Dragon Ball Z's, or Dragon Ball Super, I guess I should say, greatest feats was Broly. Bringing Broly back and actually making him canon. That movie is so incredible in terms of animation, story building, the characters it introduces. It makes me wish that that's what they would have done going forward and not try to build the pieces around and actually bring back the manga, bring back the anime. It's just too much, and I feel like you're milking it so hard that the story can't progress anymore, or it can't be exciting anymore, in my opinion. So that's my super hot take on Dragon Ball Z. It should have died back in 1996 and stayed dead.
I like that take on a hot take. It's not a specific show, it's just, a hot take in a different way. I like it. I've heard you say a lot of words just now, but I haven't understood a lot of them. I haven't seen a single episode of Dragon Ball. I really don't know much about it at all.
I know some of these words.
Androids. Something about androids.
Yeah.
Final hot take. So I've saved sort of my favorite one for last.
Boy.
Favorite in terms of hating on it. One of my all-time favorite anime is Steins Gate, the original season of it.
I know where you're going with this.
It's, easily in my top 3 of all-time anime. It's a 10 out of 10, hands down. It's incredible. However, the Steins Gate Zero sequel, depending on how you see it, this story, to me, kind of ruined everything that was great about Steins Gate. I'm not going to go into too many details. I don't want to spoil anyone. However, what I'll say, because I'm not going to mention the premise of Steins Gate Zero, but if you know what the premise is, and I wouldn't say it's a spoiler, but if you know what the premise is, you'll understand. Okabe and Kurisu, which was 2 of the best characters of the original series, their dynamics and their interactions are some of my favorite scenes in the original. Obviously, there are no scenes like that in Zero. With all of that gone, that's one major thing that just kind of makes me dislike Steins Gate Zero. Another thing is, sure, the original series did have a degree of fan service. I don't think it ever went overboard with it though in the original. Zero, however, I think goes overboard several times. It's just unnecessary. It's just plainly there for fan service kind of reasons and nothing else. That was just a distraction and nothing that really, it didn't do it for me, and it just felt unnecessary and kind of stupid in my opinion. That's one thing. There's also, in the original, I love, as I think we all do, Hoin Kyoma, mad scientist. We love that side of Okabe. But in Zero, there is no mad scientist. There is just sad scientist. I mean, sure, I guess that could have an appeal to some people, but I thought it was neat for a while, but to have pretty much the entire season like that, I missed the side of Okabe that I loved so much. It didn't really do it for me. And I think the last point that I'll make, one of my favorite character relationships of the original series. I'm not going to go into depth on between who it is, but it's between a guy and a girl in the original. It's a pure, beautiful, just friendship kind of relationship. Now, I can't speak for the visual novels of either of these, since I've only played the beginning of the original visual novel and I haven't played the Zero visual novel at all. But just basing this off of the anime adaptations, in the original Steins Gate series, there is this beautiful friendship between a male and a female character, and I loved it for not being romantic, because it doesn't have to be. It was just such a good relationship and friendship the way it was. However, in Zero, it turns out that the girl has feelings for the guy, and that becomes this whole big thing in that series, which really just ruined that character for me, sadly. For those who know, they know.
Oh, I know.
There are just all these things in Zero that just really drag it down so far below the original series. But yeah, it just lacks so many things that made the original series great, and it doesn't really make up for it in any ways, in my opinion. Again, I know this is a very beloved show. I've seen mostly praise for it, but I just kind of couldn't really stand it. I kind of usually just pretend that it doesn't exist. Like, in my head, the Steins Gate canon is just that first series. That's how much I dislike Zero.
I don't like Zero as much as I like the original series. The original series is 10 out of 10 masterpiece, in my opinion.
Yes.
Phenomenal. And Zero is not that, but I still think it's good, and I enjoy watching it. I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10, which is good in my book. However, I knew that Petter disliked it very strongly.
Yes.
I agree with you that the fan service is obnoxious, more so than it ever was in the original. While it did have it, this one goes a little bit too far.
For sure.
I understand the whole platonic relationship that kind of gets turned into a romantic one. I get that.
And I didn't see the point in that at all.
I kind of feel a little differently on that, but it's not something that I feel was too established in the original series. And I can see why people would get upset about that in this prequel, sequel thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a valid, I mean, they're all valid hot takes. All of our hot takes are valid.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Steins Gate Zero, give it a shot. Let us know what you think. I'm on team. It's good. Petter's on team. Oh my gosh, it's an abomination.
Yeah.
So,
yes, I am. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of flack for everything I've said today, but hey, I'll take it. Join our Discord server if you want to talk to us about any of our hot takes.
That's the place where you give your flack, your hot takes to us.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Link in the video.
You can put it in the comment section. That's true too.
Absolutely.
But Discord is the best place to get quick responses from us.
Absolutely, yeah.
With that, I mean, I think I'm all hot taked out. I think it's pretty hot in here right now. So
Yes, my mouth is so dry.
Oh, I think I burned my tongue a little bit.
Yeah.
all the fire I was spitting. I want to thank everybody for watching. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe for more, like the video, and also listen to our podcast. We're releasing a video every other week. Well, I should say a podcast episode every other week.
Yes.
With some of the hottest manga out there. You know, Spy Family, Kaguya-sama Love is War, To Your Eternity, some great stuff. Some stuff is we're kind of waiting for the next volume to release, but hey,
Yeah.
When it releases, we'll be there.
Yes,
So please look forward to that discussion and maybe more of these videos in the future. I think we'll go ahead and end it. Oh, one more thing. I just wanted to give our final hot take. It's that Konosuba is the best anime ever made. I mean, Petter agrees too. So that's how we're going to end it. See you later. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
You're supposed to disagree with me. Of course you don't think that. Gosh.
And I felt very similar about both of those. Sorry, my cat is kind of bothering me a little bit. This is her first video appearance, by the way, on Umami Manga.
Hi, Shino.
Shino. She's so soft and cute, but she's a little bit in the way right now, so I'm going to put her down. Okay, anyway.